Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Emily Kraus, marketing specialist, founder, and chief marketing strategist of Amped Up Marketing, a consultancy that helps organizations craft strategic, results-driven marketing plans that amplify growth and impact. With over 25 years of experience across nonprofit, professional service, legal, financial, and technical sectors, Emily brings clarity, collaboration, and strategic insight to every engagement. Emily, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thanks, Olivia, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn more about your journey. And Emily, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up at Amped Up Marketing, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Sure. So I spent 25 years in-house as a marketing professional and marketing leader. Started my career in nonprofits, left in the nonprofit world, spent 5 years as a director of marketing for a bottled water company, left that sort of B2C, B2B role, became the director of marketing for a law firm, was there for 9 years, ran their marketing and B2C advertising programs. From there, was recruited to an IT consulting firm where I helped them grow from a regional firm to a national firm here in the US, and then was recruited by a financial services firm, an asset manager, and spent my last 5 years in-house as the chief marketing officer of a finance firm. So throughout my career, I changed industries pretty much every time I changed job roles. In the beginning of early 2024, I decided it was time to leave my role at the finance firm. And when I resigned, I really had not decided what was going to be next. I knew consulting was always my end game, and I'm a big believer in smart goals. I'm a smart goal nerd. And so every year I have my SMART goals for myself. And in 2023, I had made the goal to just examine what a consulting practice would look like for me in my future. Still thinking it was probably 5 to 7 years down the road for me. I was thinking it was my retirement gig. And when I decided to leave the finance firm, about 3 days later, a nonprofit I had been doing some pro bono work for reached out and said, "Hey, you've been doing some non-paid work for us. Any chance you might be interested in coming and doing some paid work for us?" And Amped Up Marketing was born overnight. Sometimes the universe gives you a nudge and says the time is now. I
Yeah.
was very grateful that I had spent that year exploring what a consulting practice would look like for me and developing mentors for myself in that space. And so I decided to jump in with both feet. And that nonprofit client grew into 9 clients in my first year in business. And I'm about to celebrate my second year in business coming up March 1st. It's been an exciting, really fun journey.
That's so cool. And as you say, it blossomed almost naturally, but in a way that was very comfortable and easy for you to understand. It was like you took your time making sure you knew the market, and then from there,
Mhm.
that opportunity comes about. And I feel like, as you said, when they do come knocking, you have to just take it and jump in with both feet first, and then just see how it goes.
Yeah.
How did you find that switch over from obviously very heavy, long background to then becoming an entrepreneur, like corporate, to then that switch over? How was that for you?
It was pretty seamless. I had a month I made the decision the end of January. I took the month of February to put the foundations of my business together. So to build my brand, to really refine my service offerings, to think through truly what I wanted my target market to be and who I wanted to serve. And so I spent that month really working for myself, getting it all straight, and then launched. And when I launched, I had 1 client. And then I think because I've been in business in this city for 25 years, I've hired tons of vendors in the marketing and advertising space. I have a pretty broad network.
Yeah.
And the most amazing thing for me on this journey has just been how my network has showed up for me. People that I haven't worked with in 15 years reached out when they saw the announcements and said they supported me, and how can we help, and how can we refer business to you, and how can we work together again. It's fun. I'm actually back working with some organizations I used to work for previously, or leaders that I worked with in the past who are now doing different things. And I have too, during that time in 2023, when I was just exploring what it might look like in the future for me, I developed some mentorship relationships, and I've leaned pretty heavily on them. And I have a good friend who started a consulting business about a year before me, and she's my elevator pitch go-to person. When I need to refine my elevator pitch and think through how I'm talking about my business in new settings, like she's the first person I call. A good friend of mine who actually did my branding for me. I know what I can do, what I can't do. I'm not a graphic designer.
Yeah.
So I reached out to somebody that we had worked together on and off for 18 years, but he also used to run his own agency. And so when I've got kind of fundamental business questions, he's just a phone call away or a coffee away from giving me advice. And I think thankfully I have developed that network and support group to lean on to give me guidance when I feel like I need it.
That's so cool. And that's so nice to have, especially in the early stages of starting up a business, as you say, that support in jobs that you don't necessarily know how to do or even want to do. There are certain things as a founder you really are good at. So it's really nice that you can just bring support in for things you're unsure on and then just move forward from there. So let's dive into amped up marketing a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So at this point in, Emily, who would you say is your ideal client? Who do you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how would you help them and how do you support them?
So I focus on nonprofits, solo and entrepreneurs, and small to mid-size businesses in professional services. Those are the industries I understand really well. I think
Yeah.
my background in nonprofit, I understand how the organizations work. I understand how they run lean and mean. I also understand how to be really scrappy with a budget. So I think that lends really well. And
Awesome.
typically, where I find my services really meet the needs of the organization is where they have a need for senior strategic leadership, but don't have the resources to meet that. That's one of the reasons nonprofits are such a good fit for me. Typically, they cannot afford to hire senior strategic marketing leadership. They have to focus their senior leadership on operations, delivering whatever services they provide, and development and fundraising. And so the marketing piece typically is cobbled together. And so as a fractional support or consulting support,
Yeah.
I can give them that strategy and leadership, provide that roadmap, or even provide some on hands-on guidance on a regular basis to help them elevate their organization and meet their operational goals. But it's the same fit with small to mid-sized businesses. A lot
Yeah.
of times they can afford to hire marketing coordinators and marketing managers, but might not have that C-suite level strategic talent in-house.
Yeah, perfect. As you say, it's like a perfect fit where you can go in and be that strategist, get involved in the trenches, but it's not pushing them too far out of their limits where it's going to make obviously
Mhm.
their budgets uncomfortable and tight at the same time. It's just a really nice mix. And then the experience you have coming into that across many sectors must bring you like a nice blend and a different outlook as well that you can impact when you are working with, for example, a nonprofit or a small business in a different sector. You can cross marry the two.
Yeah, and so that has been my sweet spot throughout my
Yeah.
career. Every time I joined an organization, I was their first marketing professional who didn't have that industry background.
Sick.
And what I brought to the table was outside perspective in helping them differentiate themselves and stand out in a marketplace of sameness. And I think it has served me very well in my career. What I enjoy most and have always enjoyed most about marketing is learning something new, like learning a
Yeah.
new industry, learning a new tool, and that continuous learning and evolution. And so now as a consultant, I get to do that on hyperspeed because as marketers, we tend to have to know enough to be dangerous about the whole organization. We
Yeah.
have to become we have to become cross-functional experts. We can't just be siloed to really be successful. And because I've been able to flex that muscle throughout my career, figuring out how to ramp up quickly in a new industry, I think it served me well going into the consulting world.
100%, I couldn't agree more. And it just gives you that little bit of edge that someone else might not have in that role as well. And I'm very curious to find out how you go about acquiring your own customers. Obviously, with your expertise in marketing, like what are you finding most effective at the moment in for yourself finding those right people to work with?
It's all relationships. For me, it's 100% relationships. I'm a big believer, but where the city I live in, Richmond, Virginia, it is a small town from the perspective that everybody knows everybody. There's 2 degrees of separation from pretty much everybody in Richmond. And I've always believed in never burning a bridge. I've always believed in maintaining my professional relationships. I've always believed with exiting any engagement with grace and maintaining connections. And I would say 95% of my clients have come to me from referrals from people that are active in my day to day network and people that, like I said, I haven't seen or worked with in 15
Yeah.
years, but we are now reconnecting, which has been an amazing surprise as I've gone on this journey. I am out there networking. I am going to association meetings and networking events in Richmond, but I tend to find that those personal introductions from people that know me and know my work are
Yeah.
where my quality referrals come from. I also, as a tried and true content marketer, I do content marketing for Amped Up. So I have a blog, I'm active on LinkedIn, I share my insights. Most of my blog articles come from questions that a client or a potential client asks me in a meeting, or if I'm speaking or doing a workshop, the questions I get from the audience. So
Amazing.
usually in a meeting, if I find myself having to explain something for more than 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, that's my next article. And I write down the topic and I go home and crank that thing out.
That's it. And that's a really cool way to do it because you are getting feedback from your clients. So it's very
Mhm.
relational based, as you say, you're just very much giving back to them and then you can build it off of that relationship from there. Do you utilize like paid advertisements in any way just to maybe bring more eyes to yourself that aren't within your local area in Richmond?
I don't at all at this time. I could see myself doing that in the future, but right now I've been able to maintain my pipeline pretty steadily with my network.
Yeah, it's cool. And I just think they add another layer of consistency. So as you say, like when you're at that point, it just brings in a nice consistent lead flow for yourself when the referrals
Mhm.
don't always come through, which is the unfortunate thing about referrals. And obviously, naturally, we are at the start of 2026. So you're coming up to, as you say, the second year in your business. What are your plans for the future? So like when you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months, what is that goal that you're working hard towards at the moment?
I have a pretty audacious goal for this year. I want to increase revenue by 40% over
Okay.
last year. So that is my goal for this year, and that's what I'm working towards. I'd like to have 2 additional anchor clients. When I look at an anchor client, that is a fractional role that
Yeah.
I am engaged long term with that business in some sort of regular fractional
Yeah.
capacity. And I work with clients in all different ways. Some clients, I do an assessment and a strategy for a very specific thing, and they take it and run with it. Some clients come to me for just a verbal rebrand. What they say about themselves doesn't match where their company has evolved, and I do that work and they move on their merry way. But I think my sweet spot is kind of those longer term
Yeah.
relationships where I can really get to learn their business and really provide long term strategic support. So my goal is to secure 2 more of those. Long term, I would love to grow a team. I am fortunate enough to have a strong network of other solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that have very complementary skills to mine, where if I need to pull in a rock star graphic designer, I've
Yeah.
got a couple people on speed dial. If I need somebody to do meta ads, like I did yesterday, I called somebody and was like, hey, do you want to take this meta ad work? So I've got that network, but ultimately I would like to build an amped up marketing team that I'm working with day to day, because where I'm living in more of that strategy space, I do think it would marry well to have some tactical implementation support on my team.
100%. And it just takes you to another level as well. I feel like with the fractional work, you are limited with your time. So it's nice that you can add on other jobs, as you say,
Mhm.
and then scale it from there, bringing on the team. It's a really cool
Yeah.
goal to have. And
Yeah,
where
and I
you,
would say that's where the challenge comes in with the business
yeah,
development side, because when I am really busy, that is when I don't get time to write my blog articles, or when I miss the networking events, or don't get to go to that speaking engagement. And it is when it is you and only
time is
you, like time is the currency.
It is. Time is that big key. And it is that one thing of how do we save our time doing those little jobs? And Emily, I have one final question to ask you before we log out. So if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Jump sooner, take the leap sooner. I think it was consulting and starting my own business was so scary and so intimidating before I did that year of research in 2023.
Yeah.
And I feel like knowledge is power. And I feel like fear, especially in the business world, is really driven from the unknowns and things that seem so like things that appear to be such huge hurdles, when you have knowledge and information, sometimes aren't even a small hill. And
Yeah.
so I I think if I could have given myself any advice, it would have been to do the research sooner, to learn sooner about the unknowns that I had, and to not let fear stand in the way of the dreams that I had.
I love that. And as you say, like fear is in the unknown. And I feel like some people forget that they're scared the first time they do everything. So as you say, it is just to jump in and realize that it's not as scary when you're on the inside of it over that
Yeah.
line. And Emily, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to?
Yeah, so my website is ampedup-marketing.com. I'm also on LinkedIn as Emily Kraus or as Amped Up Marketing. Those are the two best ways to find me. I do have a newsletter that I send out typically about once a month, never more than that, that has my latest tips and latest articles on the frequently asked questions that I get. So if people are interested in that, be another way.
Beautiful. And thank you again, Emily. I really appreciate your time. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and check out Emily Kraus on, oh my God, I can't even speak. Emily Kraus on LinkedIn. Drop her a message. I'm sure she would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.